Call in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right, let's get through this snowy Tuesday afternoon together, talking OU football and recruiting. Locked In, brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. You haven't been out there? You need to get out there. Phenomenal sales staff, a low-pressure environment, great service, great prices, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. All that and so much more when you make the short trek out to El Reno to check out Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. Grayson Singleton, how we feeling on this Tuesday?
It's cold, man. It's freezing.
How far of a drive do you got when the workday wraps up?
3.5 miles.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
It usually takes me about 10 minutes. Today it took me about 15, 20.
Yeah, I got about a 20-mile drive.
I've been to your house.
Uh-huh.
It's way out there.
Uh-huh. It's out there.
How was the drive over here for you?
It went a little slower than usual. Probably took me about 5 minutes longer to get here than it usually does.
That's it?
But, look, man, you got to understand, I'm from Nebraska. I am more than accustomed to driving on snowy, icy roads. It does not faze me. Never has. And so I don't have a whole lot of issue with it. I find myself cruising around, weaving in and out, not like driving recklessly, but, constantly driving around people that are going 15 miles an hour slower than me.
So you're the person that's going to be pissing people off today?
No, I'm not generally pissing anyone off. I'm just driving faster than other people because I can.
Hey, look, if you know how to do it, do it. Can't be me.
And I do know how to do it. And I do it. But needless to say, going to get back home to Blanchard and hunker down for a while. Who knows? Maybe we'll all get a snow day tomorrow. Maybe Drake will get to the office, just decide, you know what? I'll carry the full 12 hours of programming on my own. It'll just be the Drake show, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You guys can all stay home.
What do you think?
He's shaking his head no.
What do you think the Drake show, what's the over-under on how long it would take the Drake show to go off the rails?
I feel like by hour 3, Drake would be starting to run out of material. He said hour 1. He said he wouldn't even get through hour 1. I feel confident that Drake could stretch things out, especially because there's a basketball game tonight. There's a basketball game tonight that we're all going to get to watch. It won't be terribly exciting to watch. Won't be fun to watch in all likelihood if you're an OU fan.
Probably not.
But there will be a basketball game. There will be content. There will be fresh content to discuss in the morning. But for the next hour here on the Ref Sports Radio Network, we're talking OU football and recruiting. Obviously, a busy time right now on the recruiting calendar, but also we get closer and closer to spring ball here, Grayson, to the point where we're now inside of 3 weeks to the first spring practice. In fact, verging on just 2 weeks to go. March 6th is when Oklahoma kicks off spring practices. Here we sit on February 18th. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And here's what I want to know. I want to know this from you, Grayson Singleton. I want to know on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439, what your answer is. Who's going to be the most impactful transfer addition for Oklahoma, save for John Mateer? Obviously, you bring in the most coveted quarterback in the entire transfer portal cycle. The expectation is that he's going to have the greatest impact of any of your transfer acquisitions. So you kind of have to set him aside for the sake of the conversation. But outside of John Mateer, who do you expect to be Oklahoma's most impactful transfer? Do you have one in mind?
Oh, yeah, right off the bat.
Who's that?
Derek Simmons.
Okay.
The tackle, who we both project to be the starting right tackle come week 1. The interior of the offensive line, while it wasn't great, wasn't bad last year. Sure, there were revolving parts, but it wasn't the worst. The tackles were a major problem last year. And I think if you can get some stability, especially with the experience of a Derek Simmons, with all the pass blocking snaps that he had over at East Carolina, I think if he stays healthy, and let's just put it, he starts 11 of 13 games next year. I think you're in a really good situation with that right tackle spot being solidified. Because of the two tackles that were both anemic, the right tackle spot was the worst. So if you can get that fixed up, I really like where this offense can go.
The early vibes on Derek Simmons have been good.
As I would expect.
Admittedly, I was not – they brought him in. I was not immediately under the impression that, okay, that's a starting tackle. I thought there was going to be – and I still think there will be a battle and there will be competition at that right tackle spot. But as of right now, you're 100% correct. I think I would project Derek Simmons as your starting right tackle opposite Jacob Sexton at left tackle. He seems to have the early leg up, and much can change and probably will once pads come on for the first time in March, and then they get back to town in August to kick off fall camp. It's a little bit of a reset in a certain sense. So what's true in February may not be true in September, but for the moment, really like where things are trending for Derek Simmons to be a piece of Oklahoma's initial starting five on the offensive line. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, a verified source clearly listens to the right people because he has the same answer that I do. Giovanni Gibson, man, the transfer wide receiver from Arkansas Pine Bluff, per everything that I have heard, really from the second he stepped on campus in January, suggests he's going to be a dude for Oklahoma. Probably in the starting lineup right from the jump. Probably a guy that is at minimum top 3 on the team in targets throughout the course of the 2025 season, as long as he's healthy. Giovanni Gibson is a guy that I expect to drastically outperform what his stock was and what the buzz was when Oklahoma picked him up via the transfer portal. Because they added 4 receivers, right? They added Giovanni Gibson, they added Keontez Lewis, they added Josiah Martin, and they added – oh, help me out here. I'm spacing on the 4th. Satania, Drake Dykin. Boom, there he is. Drake is the man. Isaiah Satania was the 4th. Heard some nice things about Martin, heard some nice things about Satania, heard some nice things about Lewis. Gibson is easily the most ballyhooed of the 4 through 1 month of team activities this winter. So I'm starting to cultivate pretty high expectations for Giovanni Gibson. And if he emerges as one of the lead dogs, maybe even the lead dog in that wide receiver room, just because of what he brings to the table in terms of size and speed and physicality, he's going to do a lot for this Oklahoma offense because we were talking about it last hour. 2024, Oklahoma's rolling out 165-pound Brennan Thompson and 150-pound Zion Reagans to go run routes on the same field, mind you, in their first year in the SEC. That was never a recipe for success. In 2025, let's just say alongside Giovanni Gibson, your other starting receivers are Deion Burks and Jaden Gibson. Let's call it those 3. Burks and the 2 J Gibbs. You have one of the shiftiest, most agile receivers in the entire country in Burks, and a guy that plays bigger than his 5'10" friend. Like, he can go make competitive catches. Very well-rounded skill set. You're pairing him with a guy who's 6'2", 215, and a guy who's 6'5", 215 in Giovanni and Jaden Gibson, respectively. You create matchup problems for opposing defensive backs that simply did not exist a season ago.
Yep.
And could not exist. I mean, Jaden Gibson is striking infinitely more fear into the heart of an opposing defender than J.J. Hester was. All respect to J.J. Hester, but that's just the truth.
From what you know so far, and I think you're right on the money, from what you know so far, what former OU or, recent memory OU wide receiver would you compare Giovanni Gibson's game to?
See, I'm not going to do that till I see him with my own eyes. I'm not going to make a player comp till I get the chance to see it in person. But again, you're talking about a sizable wide receiver that can go, which is something Oklahoma has not had in a little while.
Which is why I like your answer, because it goes to this part of the conversation. Our two players that we think will be most impactful from the portal, Derek Simmons, Giovanni Gibson, have yet to play Power 4 football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think your answer of I've got to see it with my own eyes when we put pads on, we might got to see it in week 1 too, because there is going to be an uptick in competition for them. We know Derek Simmons held his own at East Carolina.
Western Carolina.
Western Carolina, pardon me. We know Giovanni Gibson was a stud at Arkansas Pine Bluff. How does it translate?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let me go a step further. We know John Mateer was a dude at Washington State in a splintered Pac-12. I think there's a lot here when it comes to Oklahoma and this retooling of its roster. Throw last year aside because of all the injuries. I'm willing to do that. Is this is the roster I want to ask the question we asked in August. Is this the roster that's SEC ready? Because you're not going to forecast the rash of injuries that you did last year.
No, you're not. And admittedly, it's really hard to tell.
Exactly.
It's really hard to tell right now. I could not confidently give you an answer to that question as to whether this roster broadly is quote-unquote SEC ready. I know it's got plenty of players that are SEC ready, but you got to have more than players. You got to have more than guys here, guys there. You got to have a whole roster. You got to have multiple at every position. You got to have personnel options, various groupings that you can throw out there, especially at the offensive skill positions, that are going to help you create the matchups that you want. So, I don't know. Glenn from Nashville on the text line said, Parker, I love you, bro, but please purge the phrase, as long as he's healthy, from your lexicon when discussing anything about OU football. That's all I have. Glenn, you just lived through 2024 just like I did. That ain't never happening. Because at this point, as long as he's healthy is the proviso that you have to put in front of everything. Because what were we all saying going into 2024? This might be the best wide receiver group Oklahoma's had in the 21st century. What was it in 2024? Excuse me. It was the worst wide receiver group that Oklahoma's had in the 21st century. Why? Exclusively because of injuries.
And to that point, Minnesota Sooner on the text line, okay, does this roster pass the eye test? Do they look like an SEC team getting off the bus? And last year, it did.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Your wide receiver core was who? Deion Burks, Nick Anderson, Andrell Anthony, and the crew. That's a bang-up SEC roster right there.
Getting off the bus? Yeah, that didn't look like a 6-7 team last year.
Nope.
Get a guy like Desan McCullough stepping off. Yeah, no, don't fall victim to what the eye test tells you, the get off the bus test tells you.
And the one big-time transfer from a Power 4 school you and I are kind of bullish on, Jay from Medill, Marvin Jones Jr. is going to eat in 2025. We didn't even bring him up, and he's the only one with Power 4 experience. Not the only one, but the major one that had Power 4 experience.
Chris from Knoxville asks, which of the projected starting 5 O-linemen have that mean streak in them that we were used to seeing out of Bill Bedenbaugh's group? Well, let me think. Let's run down the starting 5 as I would project it right now. Jacob Sexton at left tackle, Heath Ozida at left guard, Troy Everett at center, Fabechi Wiwu at right guard, Derek Simmons at right tackle. You tell me. I think out of that group, Sexton's probably got the meanest streak. I don't know. I don't know that you have a guy that's going to be swinging on dudes down in the trenches. I don't think you have the offensive line equivalent of freshman year Jaden Gibson, but
we got to lay off that man. We got to let that go.
No, it's all in good fun.
Can we say the offensive line version of Jalen Carter?
Oh gosh. That's a step. That's several steps further. Jalen Carter killed somebody. Allegedly.
Fair.
Inadvertently. And allegedly. Jay from Dill did say, yeah, Marvin Jones Jr. is going to eat in 25. BB's scheme with R. Mason opposite him is going to be awesome. And that's going to be that has the potential to be the best pair of defensive ends that Oklahoma's had since Isaiah Thomas and Nick Bonito in 2021.
Agreed.
And those dudes were studs.
Yeah, they were.
Hawaiian Sooner says EPL. Don't forget EPL. I'm not forgetting EPL. I can't project him into the starting five just yet, but it would not shock me at all if he were to supplant Ozaida or even Fabechi Wiwu for one of those starting guard spots, because he's just simply more of a freakish athletic specimen than those two dudes.
And he would be the nastiest in the starting five once he cracks it.
Yes, he would. A verified source on the text line said, Drew Samia, give me a reincarnation of him. Drew Samia, that's a good pull.
That's a good one.
That dude was vicious, man. He was mean. I'm surprised he didn't last in the NFL. I guess he's probably still hanging around on a practice squad somewhere, but he hasn't done a whole lot. Not as much as some of his former compatriots on that 2018 offensive line, excuse me. Yeah, I like Drew Samia. He was a fun player.
That's a good one.
Okay, folks, let's hit an opening timeout. We'll come back. We'll keep talking OU football and recruiting with all of you on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. 405-651-3439 is how you chime in. Keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be right back.
Fall in love with OKC's favorite casino.
Because at Riverwind, we've got it all.
Grab a bite at one of our many restaurants.
Or sip and spin at our high-stakes area.
And the Showplace Theater at Riverwind is the hottest spot for live music.
Shoot your shot at our $80,000 Cupid's Quest giveaway.
For the best gaming and unforgettable entertainment.
It's gotta be Riverwind.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game, all year, the Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner baseball this Wednesday night from Globe Life Field against UT Arlington at 7 o'clock with pregame starting at 6:30 on the Ref and the K-Ref app.
Dreaming of your own backyard oasis? Be the envy of your neighborhood and let Signature Custom Pools help you create the perfect poolside paradise. Their professional design expertise can transport you into your own Mystic Falls, suburban sanctuary, or Mediterranean retreat. Settle into an endless vacation, entertain your family, friends, and get the signature touch with Signature Custom Pools. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com today.
Oklahoma baseball single game tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a packed 31-game home schedule this spring at L. Dale Mitchell Park. Seats start at just $10 per game, with exciting promotions like $2 Tuesdays, Firework Fridays, and Sunday Fun Day for Conference Series. Guaranteed fun for the whole family. Check out the game schedule and more information at Soonersports.com. Join us at the ballpark and Boomer Sooner.
In the age of internet and all things fast-moving, it's hard to find people you can trust. When it comes to your home or business electrical systems, don't settle for anything but the best. Wade Electric has been serving Oklahoma since 1969 and will gladly address your electrical needs with diligence and professionalism. They specialize in service upgrades, exterior and accent lighting, power automation and controls, shop and outbuilding wiring, LED conversions, and more. Go with a name you can trust and call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940.
For over 80 years, Primrose Funeral Service has been providing comfort and guidance during difficult times. Pre-planning with Primrose can help make things a little easier for families. Not only can you pre-plan a funeral, but you can pre-plan your sunset cemetery arrangements, which removes the difficulty of planning for a loss at the same time loved ones are experiencing one. Contact Primrose Funeral Service at 405-321-6000 or visit them online at primrosefuneralservice.com.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Now open in Yukon, Oklahoma, 5-Iron Golf is the perfect spot for golfers of all skill levels. Practice like a pro with TrackMan technology or play iconic courses without leaving town. After your round, enjoy chef-driven dishes, handcrafted cocktails, and a buzzing bar atmosphere. Whether you're hosting a party or improving your game, 5-Iron Golf is here to redefine how Oklahoma plays golf indoors. Visit 5irongolf.com to book your experience today.
Thanks to a verified source on the text line for keeping us up to speed on where OU legends of days gone by are now. He confirmed that Drew Samia is with the Arlington Renegades now, which is probably true for like half of the NFL washouts that played at OU between the years of 2015 and 2020. Seems like all of those guys wind up with the Arlington Renegades because of the Bob Stoops connection.
Right. I was just about to say, wasn't Bob Stoops coaching there?
Correct. Yeah, so Landry Jones, I think, was the inaugural quarterback.
Landry Jones was the first quarterback.
Yeah, he was the inaugural quarterback for the Arlington Renegades. Who else has played for that team over the years? Jeff Badette did. Samia's not the only O-lineman as well. Jalen Redmond?
Jalen Redmond does.
Jalen Redmond, no, because Jalen Redmond plays for the Vikings right now. He was Drake is saying Jalen Redmond was at one point with the Arlington Renegades.
I think he was in one of those spring leagues at one point.
Drake is correct. He was with the Arlington Renegades in the spring of 2024. Well done, Drake. Drake knows his stuff, man. Drake is the MVP of the day. The Arlington Renegades. The Arlington Sooners, more accurately. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. The goal is to stay away from basketball for the remainder of this hour. Half the people on the text line, all they want to talk about is basketball, and then half the people don't want a single word mentioned about OU hoops. Very divisive issue these days.
I mean,
they go to Florida this evening to take on the Gators. What do they call the basketball arena? Do they have a cool name for that? Because they call the football stadium the Swamp. The old venue used to be called Alligator Alley. I remember that. Drake says they call it the O-Dome.
The O-Dome?
The O-Dome. It's O'Connell Arena. O'Connell Arena is what Drake says. That's why they call it the O-Dome.
Okay.
That's
fair enough.
Not super cool. There needs to be some Gator pun there.
Alligator Alley is pretty vicious.
See, that was what the old arena, the arena that they played in until like 1980 was called, Alligator Alley. I mean, you have a mascot that's that terrifying, and I would submit that Gators is top 5 most terrifying mascots in all of college athletics. You got to lean into it. I mean, what's more terrifying than an alligator, Grayson? You got to think about it.
The way they play up the environment, my first answer is LSU's Tigers.
Okay, well, like
it's basic.
If I'm stepping in the octagon with a tiger and I'm stepping in the octagon with an alligator, I like my chances against the tiger much more than the alligator.
I don't like either.
You do?
Yes, because alligators are giant armored lizards that are they've got like virtually impenetrable skin. Like, if you're trying to shoot an alligator, have you seen those shows where, like, they hunt alligators? Like, you got to hit them in one very particular spot or else the bullets just glance off them. Like pebbles.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I feel like there's a world where I could beat a tiger in the octagon.
Don't start this.
The odds are significantly against me, but I like my odds against a tiger better than I like my odds against an alligator. I just don't even know how I would go about engaging in combat with an alligator.
How would you go about engaging in combat with a tiger?
I'm not going to act like I have a very well thought out plan, but I feel like a tiger has more vulnerabilities than an alligator. I feel like the alligator is probably the animal I would least like to encounter in the wild.
Mojo Bo, I'm taking the alligator all day. No chance with a tiger. At least you can outrun it out, which was going to be my point. If you encounter one in the wild, I don't know how fast you are, Parker, but I'm dusting the alligator.
Are you?
Yes.
Alligators can move, man.
I know they can, but those legs are 6 inches.
That's fair.
They cannot be that
But
fast.
they just slide, you know?
I know.
It's like,
I know they
it's
do.
like they're on a sled.
But
Their belly's like a sled.
But they still ain't moving very fast. That tiger sees you running. That thing is up on you in 2 hops.
Cool Moj says the tiger is fast and huge and you'll be dead within seconds. At least the alligator is slow. Jump on his back, get him in rear naked choke, and wait for his eyes to roll back, and you're done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Craig in Cleveland, either animal makes Parker's wife a widow.
Probably true. Almost assuredly true. Brian in Bixby says, Parker, you can use Teddy's plan for the bear with the tiger as well. A 405 listener says, any wild cat should be your worst fear in the wild, besides maybe a bear, but I don't know even about that. Bears are huge. Bears are definitely top 3 when it comes to terrifying mascots, because you don't stand any chance against a bear.
No.
You're significantly smaller than the bear. The bear is 5 or 6 times larger than me. There's no way I'm taking a bear. At least the size is comparable with the tiger.
I mean,
I'm dwarfed by a bear. Tegan from the 405. See, here's you go. Alligators can run up to 30 miles an hour. There's not a human being on planet Earth that can run 30 miles an hour.
Can they really?
Yes. I'm telling you, man.
How often do they do that, though? Because, look, I've watched plenty of nature shows. I don't watch them often, but I've watched enough of them. I've never seen an alligator run that fast.
A 580 listener says, Parker, people wrestle alligators for fun. I don't see people wrestling tigers. Listen, that's because...
That's also a good point.
That's because Americans are crazy. And...
Well, that's just called Florida.
Exactly. Some of the people in this country will do anything for clout, no matter how bonkers, no matter how psycho it is. And we got alligators in America. We do not have tigers. That's why. If tigers were native to any region of the United States of America, guarantee you people would wrestle them. But they aren't, and so they don't.
3-star Sooner James in Wisconsin. As bad as this Gator versus Tiger conversation is, it's still way better than talking OU basketball.
That's kind of what I figured would be the reaction. Anything but OU basketball talk. Let's get back to OU football and recruiting. As we continue to break down all of the action from the Under Armour camp this past weekend in Dallas, we talked a good deal about it yesterday. Let's dive into it a little further today. One of the standouts in the offensive line group, Grayson, is a fellow by the name of Noah Best.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about him before. He's originally from Owasso, so an Oklahoma native, but these days lives in Midlothian, Texas. 4 schools on tap for official visits with Noah Best. He's going to go to Missouri first, then Oklahoma, then Texas Tech, then SMU. So, SMU's going to get the last shot at him. I listed them off chronologically. SMU's going to get the last shot at him, and they're probably the contender about whom Sooner fans should be most worried. But Oklahoma has been the favorite in the Rivals Future Cast for quite some time. I've had a prediction in for Noah Best to Oklahoma for quite some time. And this feels right now like the safest bet for OU on the interior offensive line in the 2026 class. He's a really mobile prospect. He's not terribly tall, I would put him at a good solid 6'3". But, man, he's mean. He's well-built. Not a lot of bad weight on that frame. Real muscular. Quick feet. All the things you look for. Like, he's the type of guy that if he was 2 inches taller, he'd be playing tackle. But as it is, he's just a really athletic, really motile guard prospect that could realistically play center if you wanted him to. But Oklahoma's got Will Conroy committed to do just that. So Noah Best looking like he might be an addition before too long to Oklahoma's class on the offensive line. I thought for a while this one had early commit potential. Maybe he might lock it in before his junior season of high school was done. That didn't happen, and at this point I do think he's going to take all 4 of his official visits. But Oklahoma definitely in the catbird seat with him. And just looking through the list here, I'm trying to see how many prospects do I have currently future casted to Oklahoma. The usual suspects, Mason James, Caden Jones, Alger Miles, most recently Kevin Ford Jr. But Noah Best, definitely a name that OU fans should not lose track of because he's a really good player.
He is a really good player, and I like how you said he's a mobile guy. I see a lot of versatility here with him. I see a potential emergency center. Mm-hmm. I see a dude, because of his foot speed, that could slide out to tackle if need be. Would it be the most optimal situation? No. It's also funny how you say he's not too terribly tall, and he's taller than both of us, who are not short people.
Yes, correct. By offensive line stand, and I was remarking about this on Sunday with a couple of buddies down at the Under Armour camp. Offensive linemen are freaking huge these days.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not 6'5" minimum, you are not playing tackle.
No,
at least not at the Power 4 level.
Does not happen. Which is intriguing because it seems like some of these quarterbacks are getting shorter.
That is true. And I think that's just because,
And I said some.
Yeah. It's kind of just the way that the game's evolving, Mm-hmm. Like at this point, mobility is far more of a coveted commodity at the quarterback position than it ever has been before. Like you do not see Davis Bevels all over college football rosters anymore. I promise you, Davis Bevel probably would have been a 5-star prospect 25 years ago. Big arm, 6'6". That's what you look for. Or at least that's what you looked for back in 1999. These days, okay, it's great to have that size, great to have that arm strength, but what colleges are looking for, what coaches are looking for these days is guys that can move around, make throws off platform, get outside the pocket, be a threat with their legs. The evolution of offense in college football has fundamentally changed what the ideal quarterback prospect looks like. And so a guy like Peyton Houston, whom we spent a great deal of time talking about yesterday, is a phenomenal example. He's right around 6 feet tall. He's about a half-inch shorter than I am, so probably exactly 6 feet tall. But he has a beautiful release, flawless mechanics, awesome arm talent, gets good zip on the ball, places it accurately, can scramble around. He's as precise on the run as he is in the pocket. And obviously he can hurt you with his legs when he needs to. And that is exactly what collegiate offensive coordinators and head coaches want these days, is somebody that checks all of those boxes. Whereas 2 or 3 decades ago, you would simply have looked for a guy with a big arm that could absolutely see over the offensive line, and that's what you kind of built your offense around. These days, you're looking for a quarterback that fits a system more so than building a system that fits a quarterback.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And Peyton Houston's a guy that's going to fit pretty much any system. And it's prospects like those that often are the most highly regarded on the recruiting trail. The guys that clean house with all of the top offers is the guys that coaches will look at and say, okay, we can plug him right in, and his game is going to work here. Frisco Sooner on the text line says, Parker, you have no chance against the Tiger. Okay, probably true. The average weight of a Tiger is 450 pounds and can reach 650 pounds. We're talking about a killing machine that moves like a house cat. Yes, to be clear, Frisco Sooner, you're right. there are very, very slim chances that I would last more than 15 seconds in the octagon with a tiger. But if you made me pick one, I'm going with the tiger over the alligator.
See, Craig in Cleveland and Brian in Bixby with the same great advice. You run in zigzag with an alligator. Those things can't change direction. Look, here's my rule. If you ask me to fight a feline versus asking me to fight a reptile, 9 times out of 10, there are a few exceptions here. 9 times out of 10, I'm taking the reptile.
What's the exception?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some lizards out there that'd be like
Komodo dragon.
Yeah,
you don't want to do battle with a Komodo dragon.
No, I'm not getting within 50 feet of those things.
Sad basketball fan Josh said, Parker, I'd take you beating a tiger over OU beating the Gators tonight. Yeah, I probably would too.
Yeah, there's probably a better chance of that. This OU team just has a special aptitude for finding ways to lose.
Glenn from Nashville says, I've been on many hikes in Montana that took me within 10 or 15 feet of a bear. You truly realize your place in the food chain at that point. Terrifying animals.
See, that's why I'm staying out of Montana.
I love Montana, man. It's worth visiting. Now, if you don't want to live there, that's fine. But definitely worth visiting. Beautiful area of the country.
Yeah, I would visit there.
Just make sure.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're strapped in case you run into a bear.
Yeah, just going places where I could get within 20 feet of a bear or something, that just doesn't excite me. I also didn't think I'd ever hear Parker say strapped.
What are you saying? What are you trying to say here?
Look, you with your Princeton lexicon. I thought you would have come up with a more sophisticated word than that. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what sophisticated words there are because you taught me a new word a couple weeks ago.
Persnickety?
Yeah, that one, which doesn't even sound like that. Sounds like something from like freaking Harry Potter. But I thought you would have found a more scholastic way to say keep a weapon on you.
Okay, folks, let's hit a timeout. We'll come back. We got one segment of Locked In to go on this Tuesday, this snowy Tuesday in the great state of Oklahoma, God's country. 405-651-3439 is the Kimball-Meyer Chevrolet text line. Stay right here. We return next with more OU football and recruiting talk.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics offer great opportunities for you to get out for some exciting action and support your Sooners. Going to an OU event or game? Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner invites you to stop by and get some new OU gear. Whether it's a softball jersey with your favorite player or just a new lucky shirt or hat to wear to the game, Balfour has everything you need to be in style and showing your colors. Cheer for the Sooners in the best and newest styles in Sooner sportswear. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour continues to be Sooner fans' favorite OU store and has everything you need. Balfour has the latest styles and fashion trends for men, women, and children. You can find something for every Sooner fan. When it comes to hats, they have you covered with more than 100 styles to choose from. Even OU socks, so you're literally covered from head to toe. Graduation is right around the corner. They have OU diploma frames in stock. Or you can always get a gift card so they can choose the perfect gift for themselves. Come see us on the corner or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
This This is Peggy Doviak, and I opened DM Wealth Management because of a horrible experience that my mother had with a stockbroker. I wanted to give people an alternative, a place they could go to understand their money, to know why investment decisions were made the way they were, and to create a financial plan that would help them meet their goals. Most of all, I wanted to help them plan their prosperity. Call me at 405-329-8884 or dmwealth.com.
Hey Sooner sports fans, this is Faith Torres and Danae Fletcher from the 6-time national champions Oklahoma women's gymnastics team. We've had a great start to our first season in the SEC. With only 4 meets, including Florida and Michigan, you won't want to miss any of the action. Get your tickets at Soonersports.com and become a member of Team 10 to support OU Women's Gym and receive unique experiences and special access to the team. Team 10 supports our team above and beyond anything I could have ever dreamed. Go to Soonersports.com and become a member of Team 10 today. Boomer!
I'm Randy Gardner, President and CEO for Rose Rock Habitat for Humanity. I'm super excited about our Common Grounds Coffee Festival this year. The Cleveland County Fairgrounds are under construction, so we are doing things different this year. We are taking the Coffee Festival on tour for the month of February. This year, we are offering a passport for you to visit our vendors at their places of business. In return, take advantage of special offers, prizes, and much more. Stop by the Habitat Restore, 1100 West Main Street in Norman to purchase your passport for only $10. Visit roserockhabitat.org/coffee to learn more.
Smokey the Bear.
Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Well, on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Eric the Red said, Parker using strapped, Malibu's most wanted. 405-651-3439 is where you chime in via the text line if you haven't already done so. The poll results from the YouTube chat are in. Among impactful transfers, outside of John Mateer for Oklahoma in 2025, 51% of you expect Giovanni Gibson to be the most impactful. 33% expect Marvin Jones Jr. to be the most impactful. 9% voted for Derek Simmons. 6% voted for your boy Kendall Daniels. I'm adding that up to make sure that equals 100%. It does not.
There's probably some decibels in there.
I'm sure there probably are. That adds up to 99%. So 1% of you vanished into the ether. But thank you for engaging with us via the YouTube chat. If you didn't know, yes, we are on YouTube every single day. Just search KREF Sports. We will pop up. You can subscribe. You can watch Grayson and I every day from 2 to 3. You can watch me and Steely every day from 12 to 2 as well. That, for the moment, are the only 2 shows. Those are the only 2 shows for the moment that are on YouTube. However, at some point, you will be able to get 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. live programming from KREF live on YouTube. We await the day. Elsewhere on the text line, quickly here, Santa John says, Grayson persnickety is not a new term as it goes way back to the late 1800s. See screenshot. Wow, he sent you a screenshot.
Cool. That still doesn't mean I've never heard it spoken out loud before.
Denver from Indiana says, okay, I'll be the boring one. Excuse me. Are we chasing any tight ends that are at worst good? What happens if Devon Mitchell fails or gets hurt? Yeah, look, I don't know, man. It might be another rocky year at tight end. I'm hoping that's not the case. Hoping somebody can break out. That potential certainly exists for Devon Mitchell and Caden Helms and Cade McIntyre. And I don't think Carson Kent is nothing. I think Carson Kent brings value to that room. I just don't really know which of those guys are actually going to pop when the pads come on. From everything I've heard so far throughout the team sessions in the winter, nobody's really separated. Nobody's really made it apparent that, okay, I'm the guy to beat at tight end moving ahead into 2025. So It's open season there. Whoever wants that job can have it. Back to recruiting here. A kid that we discussed very briefly last week, Grayson, that I want to circle back around to is Daniel McMorris from Norman North. Because one of the themes that we have come back to time and again is the reality that there just aren't a ton of great tackle options out there for Oklahoma in the 26 class. There are a ton of guard and center options. Interior offensive linemen, this is an amazing class of interior offensive linemen. It's not a great tackle class. And the highest profile tackle that OU has been in the picture with is Felix Ojo, and Texas and Ohio State are probably the two schools that are going to be battling it out for him. Don't think OU has much of a shot there as it stands. So with Daniel McMorris, I've been digging into him more in recent days, and I guess I didn't realize, and again, he's a kid I've seen in person several times, but I didn't realize that kid at 6'6", Grayson, has an 84-inch wingspan. That's 7 feet, mind you.
Yeah.
7 feet.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, the big thing with PJ when he was coming up in the 2023 class was that dude's got a 6'11" wingspan. He's got 83-inch arms. That was part of what contributed to his rankings hike and eventual ascension to five-star territory, the combination of production and strong camp performances, but also the length in his frame, because that's a very coveted trait amongst defensive ends and offensive tackles most specifically. So you mean to tell me that Daniel McMorris has 7-foot wingspan? Listen, I don't know if OU's going to move on him or not. I don't. He's on the radar. They're keeping him on the stove, if you will, because he got the invite to the January Junior Day. They've been in contact with him. The OU staff has obviously been to Norman North. You got a little bit of a 2-for-1 deal there because Mason James is there too. But, man, if they – and I was taking another look over his tape this morning. He was playing his junior year at about 250 pounds. But, man, he's strong for being 250 too. Like, the more I take in, the more of Daniel McMorris that I take in, the more I just evaluate his overall athletic profile, the more I think, yeah, I think they should offer this kid. I think they should just go lock him down. Because to me, like, you got a kid that has that high of a ceiling in your own backyard. And as we have discussed before, you're probably not going to land stud, like, high 4, 5-star type tackles in a class that immediately follows the Fasusi-Foje coup.
Right, exactly.
So to me, like, McMorris is honestly the perfect dude to take. It's there on tape. Like, he's very obviously a P4 caliber player, and that's reflected in the offer sheet. He's got a bunch of P4 offers.
And it's starting to heat up, too.
Yeah, none quite as prestigious as Oklahoma, but he's got plenty of P4 offers. He's right down the road. And I mean right down the road, because as we sit here in this studio, we're not more than 4 miles from Norman North High School. I don't know what the exact distance is from Norman North to campus. It can't be much further than that. But when you have a kid that has those tools and has that projectability to him, where he's very clearly not a finished product, and you're going to want to pack weight on him, and you're going to want to add to his toolbox, if you will, but you have the blank canvas. You got a kid like that within state lines, don't make it any more difficult than it needs to be, man. Just go lock it down. Just go get him on board. Tell him, hey, we want to keep you home. We want you to play at the University of Oklahoma. He doesn't have to be ready to see the field as a freshman. Heck, he doesn't have to be ready to see the field as a sophomore.
Nope.
With Fasusi and Foje on board. So this is my hot take of the day. Offer Daniel McMorris. I doubt Bill Beedenmo is listening to this show because he's got more important things to do with his time. He's probably in the film room right now. But, Bill, if you're listening, it is my opinion that y'all should throw an offer Daniel McMorris' way. No downside. No downside to me. I mean, heck, who's the last tackle that OU signed from the state of Oklahoma? Is it Bray Walker? I know they've signed several interior guys from the state of Oklahoma in recent years. Josh Isosa most recently. Andrew Rame comes to mind. Is Bray Walker the last tackle that they signed from the state of Oklahoma? And he didn't even wind up playing tackle. He wound up playing guard when he got to OU. But if Daniel McMorris has a better college career than Bray Walker, which shouldn't be hard to accomplish, then, shoot, I think you got your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn from Nashville says, Caden Helms, if he can stay healthy, will be productive at tight end. Jay from Medill says, come on, Jaron Kanik is our new tight end, LOL. I keep forgetting that. Jaron Kanik is not yet in my mental tight end folder. He should be, but I haven't gotten to the point where I think tight ends and Jaron Kanik is a name that populates into my brain.
If that's what you're going to bank your hope for the tight end position at, you might want to prepare for your tight ends to be as active in the pass game as they are with Oklahoma State.
Again, like, to your point, it's kind of an indictment of the state of that room when that's a serious take on the text line. And I'm not saying that's a misinformed take. I'm not saying that's an asinine take, but like when that's a take that people might have
that has some credence to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's how you know you're in great shape at that position.
And you've watched plenty of Oklahoma State football.
Mm-hmm.
You think about how Mike Gundy's offense and Casey Dunn's offense has used the tight end. It's basically obsolete.
The cowboy back,
whatever that dumb position. It's a glorified fullback. If Jaron Kanik is getting significant snaps at tight end, you're basically playing with a glorified, traditional H-back at that point.
Chonky Chuck on the text line says, thanks for doing the show today, even during the return to the Ice Age, my brothers. Thank you for tuning in, Chonky Chuck. Always great to see you on the text line. Drew from Flower Mound asks, saw KJ Ford announced OU as one of the top schools, along with LSU and others. Where do you think we stand with him? Well, last night I entered a FutureCast prediction for OU to land KJ Ford.
You did.
So, yes. There you go. That's where I think that one is headed. Not automatic. A&M's in the picture. Alabama's in the picture. There may be others that enter the picture in a big way in the months ahead, but I like KJ Ford to Oklahoma right now. That is my prediction as to where that recruitment lands, and it's especially notable that Oklahoma is going to get the last shot at him in OV season. They're getting him to campus for the Champ U barbecue, and we've talked about the Champ U barbecue extensively and how significant it is when uncommitted targets take their OV on that specific weekend, because historically, Oklahoma has a very high hit rate with those prospects. Again, not promising you anything with 100% certainty because there are no certainties in the recruiting game, but that one looks good for OU right now. And another thing, Grayson, is that gets him a foot back in the door at Duncanville.
Yeah.
Which is going to be, that'll be nice, and that'll pay dividends in the years ahead. Because you look at a guy like, for instance, Trenton Yancey, who's going to be in the conversation as the number one wide receiver in the class of 2027. Emmett Jones has had a strong relationship with Yancey there for quite some time, but it definitely helps your case when you're not an outsider at the school. If you can say, hey, we got so-and-so from Duncanville on our roster right now. We have the relationships with the coaching staff. The coaching staff at Duncanville is going to vouch for us in these conversations that they have with the kid about what he wants out of the recruiting process.
And Duncanville in that area, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, down there south of Dallas, has been purged by Oregon recently, but most notably the last 5 years, Alabama has gotten a lot of kids from there, including the quarterback, Keelan Russell.
And DeSoto has remained a Texas feeder school.
Yes,
and I'm not sure
correct.
when that's going to change, if that's going to change. Lincoln Riley did OU no favors in that regard, because I don't think Lincoln Riley ever showed up to DeSoto. Maybe once in the 7 years that he was on staff at OU.
Oh, was Lincoln scared of South Dallas?
We could have some fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
We probably will at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough time for it here. But DeSoto, that's going to be a lot tougher for Oklahoma to crack moving forward. It's been the school that Oklahoma has been shut out of for upwards of 15 years now. If they get back into Duncanville, that's A, very plausible, very realistic, and B, could yield big dividends in the years ahead and in the cycles ahead, because Duncanville, like DeSoto, always has talent. Then if you can find a way at some point to get back into DeSoto, then you're as much of a player in South Dallas as anybody in the entire country. Okay, folks, that's all for Locked In here on a Tuesday. Hope you all stay safe. Not sure how much ice, how much snow we're going to get tonight. Hunker down. Take it easy. Weather permitting, Lord willing, we will see you again. Same time, same place tomorrow. For Grayson, Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Tyler and Ted take over next on The Rush. Don't go anywhere. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.